during British summer time, so that mornings have 1 hour less daylight, and evenings 1 hour more. BST begins at 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time on the last Sunday of March and ends at 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time on the last Sunday of October. The starting and finishing times of daylight saving were aligned across the European Union on 22 October 1995, and the UK retained this alignment after it left the EU. For instance, BST and Central European Summertime begin and end on the same Sundays at exactly the same time. Between 1972 and 1995, the BST period was defined as beginning at 2 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time in the morning of the day after the third Saturday in March, or, if that day is Easter Day, the day after the second Saturday in March, and ending at 2 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time in the morning of the day after the fourth Saturday in October. The following table lists recent past and near future start and end dates of British summertime. British summertime was first established by the Summertime Act 1916. After a campaign by builder William Willett, his original proposal was to move the clocks forward by 80 minutes. In 20-minute weekly steps on Sundays in April and by the reverse procedure in September. In 1916, BST began on the 21st of May and ended on the 1st of October. Willett never lived to see his idea implemented, having died in early 1915. In the summers of 1941 to 1945, during the Second World War, Britain was 2 hours ahead of GMT and operating on British double summertime and put back by an hour each autumn. On the 15th of July 1945, the clocks were put back by an hour, so BDST reverted to BST. The clocks were put back by an additional hour on the 7th of October 1945, so BST reverted to GMT for the winter of 1945. In 1946, BST operated as normal and by another hour on the 2nd of November. An inquiry during the winter of 1959-60, in which 180 national organizations were consulted, revealed a slight preference for a change to all-year GMT +1. But instead the length of summertime was extended as a trial. A further inquiry during 1966-1967 led the government of Harold Wilson to introduce the British Standard Time experiment, with Britain remaining on GMT +1 throughout the year. This took place between the 27th of October 1968 and the 31st of October 1971, when there was a reversion to the previous arrangement. Analysis of accident data for the first 2 years of the experiment, published by HMSO in October 1970, indicated that while there had been an increase in casualties in the morning, there had been a substantially greater decrease in casualties in the evening, with a total of around 2,700 fewer people killed and seriously injured during the first 2 winters of the experiment. 23 at a time when about 1,000 people a day were killed or injured on the roads. However, the period coincided with the introduction of drink-drive legislation. The estimates were later modified downwards in 1989. The trial was the subject of a House of Commons debate on the 2nd of December 1970 when, on a free vote, the House of Commons voted by 366 to 81 votes to end the experiment. 25 campaigners, including the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, ROSPA, has suggested that this would reduce the number of accidents over this period as a result of the lighter evenings. ROSPA have called for the 1968-71 trial to be repeated with modern evaluation methods. 10's Lighter Later campaign, in addition to publicizing the risk reductions described above, also highlights the potential energy benefits of double summertime, arguing that the change could save almost 500,000 tons of CO2 each year, equivalent to taking 185,000 cars off the road permanently. These proposals are opposed by some farmers and other outdoor workers and by many residents of Scotland and Northern Ireland, as it would mean that in Northern Britain and Northern Ireland the winter sunrise would not occur until 10 o'clock or even later. However, in March 2010, the National Farmers Union indicated that it was not against double summertime. with many farmers expressing a preference for the change. Other opponents of daylight saving measures say that darker mornings, especially in Scotland, could affect children going to school and people travelling to work. A YouGov poll taken in March 2015 suggested that 40% of the people surveyed would prefer an end to the practice of changing the clocks, while only 33% wanted to keep it. A recent YouGov survey showed that 44% would prefer to keep changing the clocks as now and only 39% backed having constant summertime. 56% were against stopping changing the clocks in Scotland. Sunrise would be as late as 10 a.m. in the winter in northern parts. It is feared that colder, icier roads combined with people still half asleep in the dark is bad for health and safety. The current arrangement is now defined by the Summertime Order 2002, which defines BST as the period beginning at 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time in the morning of the last Sunday in March and ending at 1:00